And one day after a woman was injured by a falling tree in New Orleans, attorney Morris Bart says there have been at least 6 other trees that have toppled over in the last 2 months.
David Jones just spoke with Bart. He has got more from him and from a city director who spoke on the concerning conditions of trees in New Orleans.
Liz and Lauren, earlier we heard from the city's director of parks and parkways, who says the city was surprised by the high number of what he calls tree failures just in the past couple of months alone. He placed the blame at the feet of extreme heat and drought conditions leading up to that surge in rain that we saw earlier this week. Now, attorney Morris Bart, who's representing the family of a teenage boy who was critically injured earlier this summer when a tree fell in Jackson Square, is providing an update on that boy's condition. He says the boy is still in the hospital but has opened his eyes, although is nonverbal as of now. Now, Bart was at the press conference this morning with the city. Michael Karam, director of Parks and Parkways, spoke to the media after the collapse of yet another tree on Carrollton Avenue earlier this week. One person was injured in that fall. Karam said the city is putting a lot of work into expanding its tree canopy and is disappointed with these failures, but adding the Carrollton tree was just inspected in August by an arborist and found to be healthy. He said little rainfall combined with extreme heat conditions dragging on has weakened trees and roots. Bart, meanwhile, says the weather is an excuse, that the city hired a contractor in 2019, Arbor Pro, to do a study of all 110,000 trees across New Orleans. Bart says only 11 trees were found to be in critical condition.
The work that was done by the arborist to identify what a healthy mature live oak is, based on his professional training, identified that, a number of factors, full canopy, the color of the leaves, balance, the bark, everything indicated that it was a healthy live oak.
With 7 major tree failures in the last 2 months, how many do we need before they stop calling it an anomaly? You may recall that after the first branch fell June 27th in Jackson Square, the mayor said, we have had it inspected by an arborist and the tree was fine. Despite that, they have never released that report. If it exists, we're going to get it through legal means, through discovery in our lawsuit.
Bart says as far as the Jackson Square incident is concerned, he provided a text from the city's contractor, Bayou Tree, to an employee with Parks and Parkways, showing the city was well aware this tree was failing, that the contractor should have just removed it themselves instead of waiting. Karam says Parks and Parkways works with licensed arborists to address trees as they receive complaints through 311, with some work being done proactively, including trimming major corridors. He also said during the press conference today that these contractors are empowered to remove trees and cut limbs without waiting on city approval. Ultimately, though, Karam says the aim of the city is to increase the canopy by planting more trees. Hopefully, he says, though, anticipated federal funding will allow them to hire more staff. Bart, meanwhile, has entered that text message that he provided into evidence in his ongoing litigation against the city. He says to stay tuned for more updates to that litigation. For now, reporting live in the CBD, David Jones, Fox 8, Local First.